We are live. Well, at least in some sense, we are live. Get rid of some of these comments up here, and we will be able to interact with everybody. There we go. Good. We are here. Just need some people to get in here now. So we will wait a couple minutes. I'll swing this out this way. Hello. And hope everybody's getting ready for Christmas. Michael, listen, yes. Perfect. I knew you'd come on if I came out, started at noon today here, so I'm glad to see you. It's not a good sign when the first thing I do is I drop my microphone on the floor. So. Be back in half an hour-ish. Okay. All right. I'll talk slowly. Okay. Meanwhile, we'll see who else is on. Who's in here? I think there's just 2 or 3 of us right now. So I'll wait. Till we get a couple more people in. And got a lot to cover today. Oh, guess I should take my watch off. Take my watch off here. The watch is off. Don't want to catch anything in the equipment. So okay, people are starting to come in. Good. Welcome. Please say hi in the comments, and we'll get started here in just a minute. I'm just kind of waiting for a few people to get in here, and then I'll start up. Okay. I see we got about 19 or 20 people, so let me show you what we're working on today. We are working on these 3 pieces of wood. We're going to start. This is an oak burl, and this is an oak burl too, from the same piece of wood. But as you can see, they have much different. This was out near the edge. This was more towards the middle. So this is going to come up, but we don't know what's inside here. That's the big question. Is we can make these into small bowls, and that's all these are going to be, as small bowls. But I want to see what's inside. This could be nice solid wood. It could be like this. It could be like what it is on the bottom here with those figuring. So it's going to have some interesting figuring. It's going to be a challenge. It could be stuff that breaks off like this. This one's even more so. But we'll compare the 2 pieces, and then we're going to compare them to a piece of another piece of oak. But this is cork oak, and this is kind of green. I got this not too long ago. Cut this one out. The other ones are really old. I mean, these have been sitting around for years. This one is at 17-18%, as you can see right there. So we will. This one will be a green turn, which means that it will change in shape. So as I'm developing this, I may take that into account when I'm turning it, just to see if I can maybe get a little bit of a different shape out of it as it dries. So we're gonna try 3 different pieces of oak here today. And while we're waiting for some people to get in here, I do need to make some more of this. And I've had people asking me about the finish that I put on a lot of my wood. So I'm going to start with, if I can get it open. There we go. Some tung oil. And it doesn't matter. Well, I'm not going to say a specific brand of tung oil, but what I am going to say is you need to have a 100% pure tung oil, not something that is has other things in it, other hardeners or other things in it, because that is not what we're looking for here. We're looking for 100% pure tung oil, and I'm not getting a whole lot in this one. That was just the leftovers. And I use a little bit of limonene, which is limonene is a biodegradable cleaner that's made out of the oils from citrus. I'm going to put in this case, I'm just going to put a few drops in. Normally, I would put in about, say, 5% of this to about 80% of the tung oil, and a little bit of mineral oil, or in this case, it's cutting board oil. But that's cutting board oil is basically the same thing. It's mineral oil. Okay, we're going to put all those together. And I didn't make exact measurements here, but it is basically an 80, 15, and 5 mix, something like that. Or maybe a 75 and 20 and 5 mix. You don't need a lot of limonene because it really has a strong lemon orange smell to it. Make sure you mix it up really well. Just like this. And there we go. So we go. Oh, hey, Todd, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, hi, Vince. Just pop in to say hi. And please hit the like button while you're here. I'd appreciate that. You guys are both having to get back to work. Darn. So have a good time. But I'm going to be on here for a couple hours. So if you can sneak back in, when you're on a break or something like that, feel free to jump back in and say hi and see where we're at. So, don't just, I do appreciate you guys coming in to say hi, but, come back for the party. So afterwards too. All right. So let me get this mounted up. And got that on here. Now, I already put face plates on all these. And again, great time of year. It's Christmas time. Real inexpensive. These are anywhere from $6 to $8, depending on which ones you get. Small face plates, perfect for this size piece of wood. Obviously, a bigger one, if you have a much heavier, bigger piece of wood, you want more than 4 screws holding it on. Make sure you're using stainless steel screws, not drywall screws or something like that. Make sure you're really centered as much as you can. I went ahead and put this on the bandsaw and kind of rounded it out a little bit just to cut down the amount of stuff that's going to be flying around the room, really, to be honest with you. Because you get tired of vacuuming all this stuff up later, That's really kind of what part of this is. You really do spend a lot of time vacuuming up. So I'm going to take this rest off of here. We don't need this today. We will not need that. We will just need this one. And this one is a little bit tighter than the others. Some that say they're 1 inch are not 1 inch, and some that say they are. Sometimes they're in millimeters instead of an inch, and it does make a difference. Try and loosen that up a little bit. And on these Lagunas are really nice lathes, but one of their downfalls is they use a pinch, like you see here. This is like a pinch to squeeze in and hold it, but it doesn't hold really well. So you put a second. A lot of us do is we drill a second hole here and put a second bolt through. And I think I've even seen this on some rests now. But put a second bolt through, and that tightens down the bottom part so that when it's pinching evenly. It's not just pinching on the top and leaving the middle not pinch as much. So it does make it a little bit tougher to put the rests in there, but not that much. So, okay, let's get things flying here. Got the mask on. All right. And we're going to talk about something today, and I'll mention it again later too. But we're going to talk about the ABCs for a minute. Now, A means you want to anchor your tool to the tool rest. It's got to be anchored to the tool rest. It's not bouncing up and down. It's not loose. And you have your hand right up here where you can control it. So it's anchored to the tool rest. Number two is you apply the bevel. So A, B, you apply the bevel. Now the bevel is this part right here. That's the bevel. So if you were putting it like right here on there, it's attached, but it's not cutting down. When you're coming down to here, that's when you're engaging the tool. Okay. And so that's the third part, is the cut. So you make sure that you are on the rest. You make sure that you have the bevel in place, and then you can start cutting. And in this case, we're going to do a well, kind of a peeling cut in a sense, because we're going to peel to get this in the round. Right now, it's just tiny bit touching the so let's see. Yeah, we're a little bit out of round right now. So we're going to turn this on, and you can see a little out of round. See that? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little peeling cut, but I got it attached to I got it anchored. I'm watching the bevel, and I just want the bevel to engage as I'm making my cut. And I'm going to go in a little deeper. And we are now basically round that quickly. It's two cuts. Let's see how that is. Yeah, we are basically round now. Good. So we need to make sure we flatten this part here. And you're watching and learning, Vincent. Great. Anytime you guys have questions, please throw them into the comment section here. I'll try and answer them as quick as I can. Hey, Luis. Welcome. Okay, so let's see. We're going to try and smooth this bottom. It should be pretty flat. I don't see it being much off. So I'm just going to take a real quick cut with my skew just to see where we're at. Okay. And these are just little peeling cuts where you're trying to get. I'm going to take this down just a little bit. There we go. The peeling cut just, all we're doing there is we're just taking off a little bit at a time. Okay, let's see what we got here. And it looks pretty flat. Okay. And come back over. Well, let's go ahead and put the tenon in while we're here. We're going to need a tenon for our chuck. So take my spindle gouge and we'll put a little. We don't want a very big or very deep one on here because we want to use most of this wood for the bowl. Let's see how close we're getting. We are just about there. That was just really close. Really close. Okay. So I'll use this, my other skew. I'll come in here, take out just a little bit more, clean up this middle, and go flat across. And that should be enough. Just double check myself. Oh man. Like I just a hair more, and I'll be in there. So okay, that's more than enough, I think. Don't want to go any deeper. If I can help it. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. It will fit. We will get fit. And that's now our tenon, our recess tenon. And now we can go. We're gonna square this off just to make sure that it is a little more refined. As nice and round as we can. And in this particular one, I'm going to give it a little bit of an angle from the inside, from the top to the bottom. And we'll chamfer the bottom just a little bit. There's a little bit of an edge. But I want to have a little bit of an angle from here. When you're using a skew, you want to make sure you're not using that pointed edge. You don't want to get the pointed edge because that'll get grabbed. You want to be doing your cutting with the half to the back half of that all the time. Notice where it's all coming off. It's all coming off of right here. Okay. You don't want to you don't want the leading part of the blade to be doing the cutting. And again, we're using ABC, anchored, bevel. See the bevel like this. And you get the bevel down to a certain point, and you start to see sawdust coming off. You know you're at the right place, and you can start cutting. And it's just that easy. Too many people, the problem with the skew is they will get in here and they'll try and use the whole blade. You can't use the whole blade because when you do, this part is going to catch. It's going to drag it down, and you're going to ruin your piece of wood. So always lead with the back half end. Now, if you are going to use the front end, that's a whole different technique that I don't want to go into right now because I'm not showing it. There are times when you do use the point end, but for that you have a different approach entirely so that you're not going to get caught. All right, so we got this. I think we're all good. That was a pretty quick cleanup of that side. Okay, let's do what we usually do. We'll do a little bit of sanding on the outside of this, and we'll put some finish on it, and then we'll turn it around. So get my drill here. Here. And some of you may be wondering why I'm doing this today. And that's because, of course, Christmas is coming up with us in a couple days, and we won't be doing anything on Christmas on Thursday because normally we do a live on every Thursday. That's what we've been doing for months. But because the holidays fall on Thursday this year, I decided not to do one on Christmas. And whatever holiday you're celebrating this time of year, I hope you're enjoying it with your family. My wife and I are going to have a good time. We're going to go out to a movie tomorrow. We always go out to a movie on Christmas. Does anybody else do that? Jose Batista Gomez That is a long name. But does anybody else go out to a movie on Christmas Day just to get out of the house? I'm gonna reverse this also. A little reverse sanding action on there to make it a little bit better. And we'll do one more. That skew actually gets you a pretty good finish to begin with. You don't need to do a lot. If you apply the skew properly and you take the right amount off, it really doesn't require much in the way of sanding afterwards. The skew will get you a very clean cut on most kinds of wood. But because this is kind of a rough burl, I'm giving it some sanding also. The thing about burl is there is no end grain versus side grain. But in a sense, the side grain and the grain are everywhere because the wood is turning and twisting all over the place. So you kind of have to inspect all the wood, and it's not going to be perfectly smooth everywhere because there are going to be little pits that you just have to deal with. Good morning or good afternoon, Costas. Welcome aboard. Please, everybody, if you can, hit that like button or subscribe. We're really trying hard to get to 4,000 subscribers. And if we can get to 4,000 subscribers, we are going to have a contest. So I will be rewarding a prize to somebody. So, but only if you're a subscriber. So you have to be part of the group to do that. So please, if you get a chance, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That would really be appreciated. It does help the. And this is our 201st video, by the way, or actually, well, 203rd video. We did our 200th video the other day. There's a couple of shorts that have come out, but you'll be seeing a couple of shorts in the next couple of days from last week. But we just passed 200 videos on the channel. So there's a lot to watch, a lot to look at. Not all of them are lives. Some of them are programmed 2-minute videos that I started the channel with. Just little ways of explaining how to do things. Some tools in the shop, not just wood turning, but also just general shop tools and ideas, like a Moxon vise and shooting boards and lots of other little things that I put on there. So please feel free to look around in the channel, take a look at them, leave comments if you want. I do answer almost every comment that's left on my videos, and that's a challenge nowadays because there's a lot of videos out there. But yeah, I will try and get back to you if you have a question or comment, or please feel free to do that. Okay. All right. So here's what we got so far. I'll try and bring you in so you can see that. Beautiful piece of wood. I guess I could turn some light on. That might help too. There we are. And a little dry spot there. I could see when turn the lights on, all of a sudden I can see where I'm missing a little bit of dry spots. So always good to have a couple lights on in your work like this. I want to make sure that I get into all the little crevices because I'm sure it's going to soak up inside the wood. And when I get inside, I might encounter a little crack or something from one of these. So this gets in there and kind of helps support that wood a little bit. We'll just get that in there. The little hole there. And a little hole there. Okay. And when this gets in there, it dries eventually and hardens the wood. This is just going to be a nice little bowl. This is not going to be a real fancy bowl, but it's going to be kind of interesting, especially with all the burl going on and so forth. So I still got a big burl. It's about probably about 35, 40 inches and about anywhere from 4 inches thick or so. That I still haven't even gotten to cutting a part yet. So that the brother to this one that I've been using for a lot of videos is going to have some more coming up in the near, well, not in the right near future, but somewhere down the road this year probably. And speed up a little bit. Get that buffed out. Oops. Okay. Here. Now, there is a little bit of a spot here. So when I'm putting this on, this chuck, I'm going to make sure that one of these facets is pushing fully against this, not splitting that apart, so that it has more support. Okay. So that's one of the things we're going to look for when we're putting this on. Okay, let's take this off. And now you can see what it looks like a little bit better. Yeah, I'm going to pull out again a bit so you can see what I'm doing. But it is a pretty piece of wood. Okay, so let's take those screws out, and we will attempt to turn this into a bowl. Okay. There's never any guarantees with these pieces of wood. Something could catch, something could snag. You know, it happens. It could come flying off. It doesn't happen often, but if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that it's happened a few times. It just is part of the business of turning wood, basically. So let me get the chuck on here. And by the way, some people have asked, but I do have several chucks. I have different jaws in them. I think I got that about right. Let's see. I do have different jaws in the different chucks, so they can perform different tasks, and I don't have to keep taking them off and doing a different one. So for me, it's handy having 3 or 4 different ones. Okay, and we're running pretty darn true there. I don't feel much of any difficulty there. Okay, so bring this up. Make sure we're spinning okay. All right, now I said I wanted to have this a little bit angled in, so as I'm turning this, I'm going to have to kind of do an undercut just slightly on the wood. Not much, but a little bit. So let's just kind of test the wood first. We'll do it about 750 or so. I just want to test where we at here. Kind of get flattened out a little. It's gonna be a relatively thin bowl, I think. Okay, now I'm seeing some darkening here, so I'm worried about the middle. This is where I got to be careful. I don't want to catch something. Let's stop and take a look. As you can see, look what's in the middle. This big pith. So when we're turning, I don't want it to come around and hit this, because what will happen is it'll catch and the whole thing will come flying off. So I have to make sure that I'm keeping the face of this turning away from it, so it's at an angle at all times, so I don't accidentally get caught in there. Okay. If I was using a carbide bit like this one, I can go really lightly. I'll show you. I can go really lightly here but I don't want it to accidentally, something breaks off and then it goes in there and catches that. So this is probably not the best tool unless I angle it. And angling a carbide tool is not the best use of it because you got a very small cutting space. You're only cutting on a very tiny edge. So this is not a good use for a carbide one, okay? Oh, thank you, Benz. I appreciate you subscribing. And please, everybody else, if you can hit that like button and subscribe, that'd be great. We're really trying to get to that 4,000. So certainly appreciate that, sir. And let me get this going, okay? Again, I got ABC. It's anchored. I'm watching my bevel, and then I'm making the cut. This is where it gets rough. I don't want to be trying to take off too much or push too hard. I want the blade to do the work. Because if I try and push, that's when it's going to cut. Or catch, I should say. So I'm just going to kind of ease it out. Okay. That's also why I have, if you'll notice, I have an asymmetrical on this blade. This is asymmetrical. I don't know if I can show it to you just right, but you'll notice that one side is slightly higher than the other. Maybe this is a better way of showing it. You can see this point here is a little bit higher angle than this is. So when I'm going on the outside of a bowl, I can use this as a scraper to scrape the bowl. And it also is helpful on the inside when I'm doing cuts like this because it helps clear out the material will clear out a little bit better if it's not caught in between the blades. So that I always use an asymmetrical grind on mine. You don't have to. This is just something that I learned a few years ago, and I have continued to do it on most of my gouges. Again, the reason I do most of these types of turnings on my lives is to help you guys, basically. I can just sit in my shop and turn things and turn them the way I like and stop when I like. But I also like to kind of teach. I've been a lecturer for many different subjects over the years, business management. I was a lecturer for labor law. And I just kind of find the whole idea of passing along information to be a fun thing to do for me. So if nothing else from today's lesson, you can say, somebody asked me, what did you learn watching the video? You learned your ABCs, right? Anchor, bevel, and then cut. 3 steps. It's your ABCs. Now look at all this. This is really chewed up in here now. Get really close on that. Look at that. That is really chewed up in there. So I don't know what kind of base I'm going to have underneath this. It's going to be touchy. We're going to have to try. So uh, bear with me here. I'm going to have to be really careful. is really sticky. You want to be careful. You'll notice I have what this is called having your face closed. When the face is open, it's all this way. When the face is closed, it's this way. I have the face almost completely closed, so it's just barely having a cutting edge here, so it's nothing to catch as I'm going through this. This is starting to go away a little bit. I'm hoping that it doesn't continue under there. And as you turn these things, you watch on the other side. To see where you're progressing. Like if I'm here in the middle and I'm coming out, I'm not looking at the tip here, I'm looking at the corresponding cut on the other side here, so I can see where I'm going. Okay, now we got this down just a little bit. Now, I'm going to utilize my scraper here, and if you're watching here, please, hi Mike Banfield. Yeah, this is an oak burl, in case you're interested. So this being an oak burl, you never know what you're going to find inside, and that was kind of that's why we started, because I like doing things like this just for the surprise benefit. It's a little bit like an early Christmas present, you know? I'm going to angle this just a little bit now. Now, what I have to do is I'm going to try and use my scraper here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be in the right spot. Let me see. Yeah, I guess I am. I'm going to use my scraper. Scrapers generally do not catch. That doesn't mean they can't. I also want to clean up this edge a little bit. And I never did the outside edge here, so I'm going to see what this does to the bottom here. Now, thank you for looking in your shop. Well, yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Okay, guys, let's see. Now we still got this. Look at this. That's going all the way out here to here, and it looks like it may come out in the bottom over here. So I got to be careful of this so I don't end up with a bowl with a big hole in the bottom as I go on here. I have a little handmade negative rate scraper here. I don't know if this will help on this or not. Sometimes it lets me get into that corner a little better. I don't want to force it. because it does act a little bit like a skew. I wanted to see how that would work. Okay. I'm going to go back to my gouge. I may have to go to a smaller gouge. Let's see. Let's see what I can do with it. As you can see, I tried to try and be a little bit more aggressive with it, just to see if I can get underneath it. And yes, I am getting underneath it. So that's the good news. So remembering that I have to go a little bit underneath the cut here and try and go in there. So I still got ways to go there. I'm right about here, which means I'm right about there. So I'm pretty close to the bottom. Probably have to flatten this out just a bit. And we're going to have to work on the edges a little. Now, yeah, I see I'm still not there. So let me see. Maybe I can get in there with this. The problem is you don't want to be pushing out. When you push out, you can dislodge it from the cut. With all the forces going outward away from the cut. So you want to make sure letting the blade still do most of the work. And this is tiny. You can feel a ridge right there. This way. Let's see. It's taking some of it out. Maybe I can use this carbide in here. That might work for that area. That's getting the form I want right there. Hi, Mark. So please write a comment or feel free to do that. Please also hit the like button if you would. And it'd be a great Christmas present for me if you would hit the subscribe button and help push us towards 4,000 subscribers. We're not that far away. And we'd like to continue growing the channel. I don't have any sponsors or anything like that. I do all this